welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger. With me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello, Trevor. Now we're going to jump right into the games because we know you listeners out there don't want to hear us ramble on. You're here for the good stuff.
We don't even want to hear ourselves ramble on.
No, I don't even like it very much.
We just have for the last half hour.
So we're going to jump right into some Click Picture. Trevor, do you want to tell our listening audience what the fuck is Click Picture?
The fuck is Click Picture? Click Picture is a game where we each have a... No, we don't. Where one of us is going to click get me an image on Ben's wonderful little scraper from a Board Panda list from quite a while ago. We're going to chuck that into a Discord channel. We'll laugh. We'll tell you all about the picture, and then we'll try to create a game design off that picture idea.
Yep. Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
this is pretty good.
This is a young girl playing soccer with maybe her father or grandfather.
Well, I don't think it matters. It's just a relatively elderly man.
Relatively elderly man in a
dodgy-looking wheelchair.
Dodgy-looking wheelchair.
Like a high-quality one, yeah.
And he's tending goal while she's, like, getting ready to kick it straight into his face.
Yep. So, I think...
VR,
I think what we
100%.
have here... Oh, you think in VR?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who are you playing as? Because I was...
The guy in the wheelchair. Like...
Okay. Trevor's on video waving his arms around in the air. So, all right, yeah, because I do like this idea of like a soccer game with young teenagers effectively versus elderly people on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Is this then, is this a mixed VR and couch co-op sort of game where one person is the goalie in a wheelchair in VR and the other players
are playing like FIFA? From a FIFA view.
Well, I think yes. I mean, sort of, yes. I don't think you're playing a full game of soccer. I think you're focusing it around like free kicks or whatever into the goal, but they might all be kicking at once or like there are different ways. Effectively, yeah. You're the main thing is one person in VR in a wheelchair where like they physically have to move the wheelchair and turn the wheelchair by grabbing the wheels and turning them in VR while also reaching and blocking soccer balls.
Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that even though this goal looks absolutely massive and therefore it's almost impossible for the goalie to actually get the ones in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that if I was playing, I'd so want to aim it at the person's head because seeing a ball come flying at you, you're going to go, ugh!
Well, here's where I think we can wacky it up a bit. Maybe you've got like stretchy arms. So like the faster you fling it in a direction, you'll get some momentum going on your arms and they stretch out. So if they are going for the corner, you have to like, if they're going for the top right corner, you have to like move your arm over to the left and then quickly move it over to the right and it like springs out like a spring in that direction and snaps back. But if you get the timing right, you'll block it.
Yeah, almost doing Spider-Man sort of shing, shing, shing.
Yeah, but it's your whole hand and arm that's going out. Like your arm is stretching. I think that'd be cool. And then if they get close enough, you can fling your arm forward and punch them in the face.
It's when they're taunting you.
Yeah.
You can just get them back just by taking it back and throwing your arm forward.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. I just really want to play with that mechanic in VR of like the momentum on your hands, stretching it out in that way.
But you've also got like, I think like a little joystick pretty much on the controller itself that you can use to move the
wheelchair.
To move the wheelchair around. But because it's on grass, like your wheels get bogged really, really easily.
Well, I still kind of like actually having to physically do that with your hands. So, like, you're trying to get into a direction and then a ball comes, you have to, like, just use one hand to block and the other hand's moving, which means you start going in a circle. You have to, like, bring yourself back again with the other hand.
God.
All right. I think there's some... I was going to say I think it's got some legs, but that's a bit insensitive to the person in the wheelchair. So
I think it's got some arms. Yes.
It's got some arms. It's definitely got some long, stretchy arms. We're going to move on to our next game, though. This is a game called Click Pitch, where we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we're going to get a new word. We're going to smush them together into a word sandwich. Put some garlic aioli on top of that.
I love a bit of garlic aioli.
Down your throats, your listeners. Yeah, get ready for a very well seasoned word sandwich. 3, 2, 1, click. Revolution.
Crawling.
Crawling revolution. I mean, my immediate thought was babies rising up.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're in that
oppressors.
pre-toddle stage of... Well, it's basically like Stewie Griffin trying to take over the world, but you know, he's a baby. So I think this is almost a perfect place to actually go for a Family Guy tie-in.
Oh, we get the license?
We get the license.
Lois. That was a horrible Stewie Griffin. Lois. I'm going to rise up.
Cool whip.
Cool whip.
Okay, no, we don't have to go there. We can just go with like traditional babies.
Traditional babies. Yeah.
But there's something a little bit weird about all these babies that are
they super intelligent babies, or are they literally just babies coordinating?
So are they baby geniuses? Starring Christopher Lloyd.
They are baby geniuses starring Christopher Lloyd, yes.
I kind of like that idea. I kind of like the idea that maybe... So we take it back to the reason why they're baby geniuses is the government put a new type of fluoride into the water when all these women were pregnant, and it turns out that it made all the babies hyper smart. They still didn't have, like, you know, still weren't able to communicate with adults, but it turns out they've been plotting revolution between all the babies that were born in 2020 or 2019.
Okay. So this was only in the water for a little while, so it's like one generation.
Yeah.
It's like all babies born within like a 6-month period.
Yeah, when
in this area,
when they started realizing, oh shit, this fluoride is actually changing the composition of these babies' brains. We'll see what actually happens in the future, though.
Okay, so they're all in this. So are they all in this one like daycare because they're being monitored? Like you find that out.
Yeah, it's just this tiny little town, and all the babies. I kind of like the idea of you being a like you're just in the childcare. You're trying to mind all these babies.
Oh, I assumed you would play a baby.
You assumed wrong.
I just feel like it's more fun to be the revolutionaries, but you're defending somehow against, or are you helping? Like,
is this a Gremlin situation where you sort of ally yourself with like the only good smart baby and the rest are all evil?
Oh my god, are we going to go to evil babies? No, I think they all have their own like. I think they have their own personalities. We don't want to paint them all as evil, but it could be then that yes, that you play the adult who is allying with these babies. It's like the one baby who's learned to talk. And you can communicate with them, and then they communicate with the babies. The other babies can't talk yet, even though they're all super smart. They they haven't actually developed physically enough.
And so it turns into like a you know, Banjo and Kazooie sort of game where you and the baby in the Baby Bjorn are sort of
yes, it's a cross between Banjo Kazooie and Pikmin. Where you have the oldest baby in your like baby carrier But that baby is commanding the other babies to do things en masse as a group.
But of course,
I like that. That's cool.
You have to trust that the baby is doing what and telling the other babies what you're sort of discussing together, and that.
Well, I mean, I think narratively there could be some level of distrust there. I think gameplay wise, you'd have to treat it somewhat like Pikmin or Overlord or whatever, where it's like, okay, I'm going to send half my massive babies over to that door and they're all going to climb on each other's shoulders to open it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, my other mass of babies over here to, like, collect the balls from the ball pit so that we can throw them out there and, like, trip over a guard or whatever.
Yeah, kind
I
of
think
like,
now it's...
Oh, I do like that. I'm liking all the hijinks that you can sort of bring in, but you as an adult, you know, you're not actually doing any of this yourself. You're just trying to look after the babies and keep them away from danger, sort of thing. But you're also,
yes,
at the same time, you're getting
also
them to do
utilizing them. Well, because I like what you could play with then around what they're actually capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're fairly slow still. This isn't Pikmin or Overlord style where you send them somewhere and they're just like run over there and do stuff. So you have to you have to be careful around your timing of how fast you want things to happen. I do think though that it's in sort of a smaller space. Like, I guess maybe you're trying to break out of this what turns out to be a government testing facility that you thought was a daycare. Oh,
I like the idea of in your office there's like a poster, you know, kind of like the old kitty, you know, hang in there sort of thing, and you see it one day and you see like the eyes of the kitty are like real eyes, and then you know it sort of gets filled in again, and so you rip down the poster and there's like a door behind it that you can actually, you know, make your way into a secret government facility. Mm-hmm. And the entire time that this has just been a like one of the
I don't think
you
notice this though. The babies tell you.
Oh yeah, the babies tell you, but
the baby, the one who can talk, yeah. I think
like they've already worked it out.
I think this starts out as you show up at your daycare, and as usual, like any normal daycare, you go in, take the elevator down 30 floors, and come out, and all the babies are there ready for you to look after, right? That's how it always works. Nothing weird here.
I like the idea that it's just this tiny little like daycare center set in the middle of a suburb, but there's like an elevator shaft from behind.
But the thing is, I feel like you're trying to I was going down the direction that you're trying to escape now. Like, the rest of the game is, okay, how the fuck do we get out of here? Because it turns out they're doing tests on these babies. If you can just walk out the front door and they're on the street, then I feel like that's too easy. Whereas if you're having to make your way...
what happens is, like, there's a lockdown that happens and, like, all these metal bars come down and there's only one way out, and it's through the facility.
Okay, yeah, I guess that works.
Yeah. I just don't want to, you know, blow my secret government plot load too quickly.
No, we never do. We never do. Okay, that's fine. So you come in, it's a normal day at this daycare, and all of a sudden, like, alarms start blaring and, you know, big metal shutters come down, it goes completely black, the emergency lighting comes on, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And the baby's like, I knew this day would come. And you're like, what the fuck, you're a baby? I didn't know you could talk that well.
Yes. Like in the deepest, like, Patrick Stewart voice or whatever.
Yeah. Caitlin, what's going on? Why are you talking like that?
Okay, so I think that there's like another couple of adults with you, but they get locked outside when the shutters come down, because they were out in the yard trying to round up some of the...
and maybe they're the, like, more experienced...
Yeah, you're sort of like the
you
new
don't
person.
know. You don't know now if you can trust them. Like, are they in on this government thing, and you just haven't been let?
Yeah,
you know, you haven't been told yet, or are they in the dark too. And yeah, maybe you come across them again later. So yeah, I think as usual, as we tend to do, we have some expository scenes to begin with where you do some sort of standard daycare-y sort of stuff, and maybe that starts teaching the mechanics a little bit where it's like you try to tell a baby to go somewhere. Maybe you even throw like a rattle. Maybe that's how you get him to do things. To throw things they'll chase after.
And have to keep them away from sharps and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got some things where...
Because I like the fact that these are smart babies, but they're babies. So they're very fragile.
They're still babies. Yeah, they don't actually have object permanence.
No.
The
guard goes around the corner and they no longer think to put down the ball or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they need you for. They'll just walk out and get fucking tranquilized or whatever.
Oh fuck yeah! I love the idea that you send them off to get something. You walk out of the room, you come back, and they haven't done it because it got out of their sight, and
they forgot you exist.
Oh shit!
Maybe you can level up and get object permanence halfway through the game. It's like on your tech tree. All right, I think that's cool, but I think let's move on. 3, 2, 1, click.
I was really trying to come up with a title for that too, and I'm no adult reply.
That's true. That was the most titles we've ever had for our games on that episode without a refine.
All I could come up with was Baby's Day In.
Baby's Day In. Yeah. No, got nothing. Okay. 3, 2, 1, click. Forgetfulness.
Addition.
Okay. I'm picturing some sort of gameplay around things changing, like to sort of simulate the character forgetting the layout of something or the position of something, having that be a kind of both narrative and gameplay hook.
Yep. I'm kind of, in my mind, I'm getting a Never-Ending Story 2 sort of vibe, and that as you do things, like memories disappear.
Okay.
So
yes, Never-Ending Story 2 a la the second half of the Never-Ending Story book.
Yeah.
And not a great adaptation of it, but yes, okay. That's interesting. I feel like we've done something similar where you're losing memory. But yeah, okay, so memories are your resource, effectively.
Yeah.
How does that affect the gameplay, or does it just affect the narrative?
I think it affects the narrative / what you can physically recall. So it's almost that your workbook is actually fairly full when you start, and then as you forget things, like those pages in the workbook in the notebook are gone now, sort of thing.
So what's in your notebook?
Memory of past events and that sort of stuff.
Oh, like a journal or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if you physically can remember what was in there, you sort of, you don't need any of that stuff. I think it's almost like Memento in the fact that it's sort of going.
Okay. Yes. I think this is a mystery game where, and this would require some deft writing skills that we don't have, but we can think of the idea about having them. We can imagine having them. Mm-hmm. Is a game where, you've got this full sort of journal / sketchbook of things, history, events, but at the beginning you don't know enough about the context of them to understand how they all fit together.
Yep.
But then as the game goes on and you reach certain points, you start losing them.
But you've got the context at the same time through that particular scene.
Yes, but you're getting that context at the same time. And so you're having to remember, oh, wait, wasn't there a picture of, a giant sculpture with a person next to it and maybe a name on it, and the name didn't make sense then. What was that name? The difficulty will be
in the writing, and only the writing.
Well, in the writing, and if you're doing that and literally taking that information away from them, if they don't physically remember it, out of game, Are they just stuck?
No, but that's the thing. I think you only remove something from the notebook when you no longer need it, but to get the full story into.
Right. So you take it away almost after they've solved it.
Yeah.
From a puzzle standpoint, but from a narrative standpoint, it adds context and it adds nuance.
Adds nuance, it adds context, but your character physically forgets about, that particular thing.
Like people's names.
And if people then ask them
who
about
was
something,
at an event.
It's like, I don't know.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's sort of the representation of what your character remembers.
Yep.
And that might have some impacts on the gameplay, even if you physically remember it.
Yeah.
Interesting. It would be very hard to write. But I do like the idea of, then at the end, something happens and you get all your memories back and you can flick through this notebook up again and you'll go like, oh, right, that connects to this and that connects to this. And you could have some really cool things there.
It's kind of like Memento in the fact that it's going backwards. Like you play out a scene and then, it goes back to the previous one. And
sort of. I think it... And obviously there's a strong influence here because we've both been playing it, but I think it's a little bit of Obra Dinn where you're getting scenes in different orders. Well, you're not getting scenes in different orders. I think you're playing through the scenes chronologically, but you're losing the memory of things in different order. Like each scene you play, you lose another memory from the past, and that's part of the narrative as well. There's a reason that this character is losing memories, whether it's some sort of cognitive disease or something supernatural or whatever.
It literally turns out to be that he's in the Neverending Story too. It's just that
he keeps making wishes.
It always happens after he makes a wish of, I wish I could solve this. And
it's like you as the game player, like there's a hint button and he just says, I wish I could solve this puzzle in this video game. And then like it happens, but you lose a memory. And that's the only way to solve each puzzle. There's no actually any other solution. It's just literally a game of frustrating the player enough to hit the hint button, except it turns out that the hint button is the only way to solve it, and that's part of the story.
The hint button actually unlocks the pixel that you needed to click on.
Well, I think it just gives you an answer. I think it just, it's basically each scene is unsolvable until you hit that button. And in the end, it's this whole meta thing. It's like, why was I losing all my memories? It's like, because you're in a video game about losing memories. It's like just completely roundabout. There's no actual reason.
3 to 1 click.
Yeah, okay. We're not salvaging that one from the meta whole erotic
environment.
Erotic environment. Dick trees.
In a world with lots of phallic imagery.
In a world where trees fuck themselves.
Technically, if we actually go to the way that plants actually work and how bees are sort of like involved in in their sexual pursuits, sort of thing, like, which is how it actually happens.
I know. There's a lot of rubbing of genitalia. Genitalia. This is about genitalia, horticulturist. No, 3, 2, 1 click. I don't think we're getting a game out of this.
Concert.
Cod. Like
Cod
the fish.
Concert.
Ooh. It's a VR game.
Mm-hmm.
And you've just got a bunch of fish and they all make different sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you just whack them to play music.
Whack a cod.
Whack a cod. You just... I mean, sometimes you have to tuner it.
Oh, God. 3 to 1 click. Had you not done that horrible pun, I was potentially going to take it elsewhere, but no.
Garlic.
Belt.
Garlic belt. All right. This is some sort of vampire hunting game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're part of the Van Helsing line.
No, I think... okay, just to mix... Because I feel like that's too obvious.
Okay.
Belmont. There's a competing... No, shut up. There's a... New IP. Let's not rip anyone else.
Buffy.
There is a competing family of vampire hunters who have been overshadowed by the Van Helsings for too long.
Yep. They're the Winters.
What's that from?
I'm going opposite of Summers.
Oh, fucking hell. Scuffy Winters. The opposite of buff is to scuff something. Right?
Scuffy Winters, okay, yep.
Scuffy Winters, the last in a long line of Winters vampire hunters. And you're basically, you're trying to, like, make a name for yourself as a vampire hunter. So I think there is this seedy underbelly of monsters and hunting and monster hunters.
Yep. Totally original IP.
Totally original IP.
Do we actually go in and joke about how these vampires don't sparkle?
They're matte. They're completely matte. That's how they survive at night so well, is they reflect very little light.
Okay.
And also the vampire who you make friends with, his name is Matt.
Yes, of course.
Matt Stabbington.
But for some reason, he's decided to go fancy and put the E on the end of Matt.
Yeah. He thinks it's like...
Ye olde
name. Alright.
Okay, so the one thing that has been passed down from like Scuffy Winter's heritage is a garlic belt.
Is the garlic belt.
Yep.
And I think she is a bit of a tech whiz. Like, it's one of these situations where she's also, not only is this family like the lesser kind of vampire hunter family, or maybe they've fallen from grace. Maybe they used to be really big. And she's like the only child of this generation. And so she's got all, like, she's told about this when she turns 13. Mm-hmm. She's got all these expectations, but she's like this weedy little kid. Like, she's not a fighter. But one of the things she does is she has this garlic belt, and she realizes, she could basically make this into like a utility belt with cool gadgets and tools and stuff. And so she's got like garlic grenades and...
So when she turned 13, did she get a bat mitzvah?
Yes, because she is Jewish. I was hoping something else would come.
But you know, they basically say you've become a lady, now you get to find out about, like,
you are of age, you're an adult now in our tradition, and yes, you are a vampire killer. You must seek out
and destroy
the nun-bloods. The unbloods, I don't know. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that the reason why these vampires actually have to drink blood is because they actually use it, obviously, for food, but their body sort of starts to turn to dust as soon as they don't have enough food, so they start decaying very quickly.
That's cool. That's why I like the idea of them just being, just like a vampire who hasn't eaten in a while starts getting really dusty. Yeah. Like, the outside of their skin and stuff, like, they'll just leave. Hence why they're very matte.
Like, there's no water in there. Like, they're continually dry.
Where are the highlights going to come from? They're very dry. That's a cool thing, because that can tip you off. Like, if someone like shrugs their shoulders, it might be dandruff, or maybe they're like a vampire who hasn't had a drink in a while.
I really do like the idea of all these vampires. They're literally just trying to get by, but the only thing they can drink, or the only thing they can stomach, is blood. But they don't want to die, and so it's this thing of, you know, if there was another way, like I'm picturing that what these vampires sort of do is they go after blood banks first, and when they get desperate, I think you've got different groups.
of vampires. Some of them are just unapologetic and they'll just attack humans and they hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're in the minority. I think, yes, a lot of them, there is, there's sort of the vampire organizations who are trying to source blood without giving themselves away. Like, they're still hidden. I don't think the world knows about them.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And surprisingly, they all seem to work in blood banks and they just skim a little off the top.
Yeah. Yeah, they just get the cream off the top of the blood.
Yeah, because it turns out that I kind of like the idea of within blood there's, obviously plasma and the platelets and all that sort of stuff. I like the idea that it's only one particular part of the blood that they really need. So they can still, send all the platelets out or something like that, but they really need the plasma because that's the only...
Well, and I think they've set up systems to to take what they need.
Yeah, because they don't actually need to, send oxygen around their body and heal wounds. They just need the liquid. No. Yeah, but for whatever reason that we don't have to explain, it just needs to be human blood, like specifically human blood. Yeah. Ooh, you know what it is? It's the blood of the type of being that you are, so that there's like vampire dogs, but they have to have dog blood. And then there's vampire rats.
It's like organs. Like, it has to be compatible. Like, you can't just put a dog liver in a human. No. So, I do like the idea of this huge vampire commune sort of thing that you find out about, that like all the animals are actually, vampiric. The way you find it is that people have been complaining about their cats going missing in a certain area, and you track that down to you follow one cat that just destroyed another cat, and you find the vampire cat is owned by a vampire owner. And this whole building of vampires.
I just had this vision of how vampirism can also be spread is through mosquitoes, because mosquitoes obviously suck blood out of people. If they've happened to try to suck blood out of a vampire who's just eaten, they can get a little bit of that blood out and transmit it to...
Well, I mean, look, we could check... it could even be that that's the only way. It might even be that this is effectively a blood-borne disease.
Yep.
But it's spread wide enough that... Because I do like the idea of bringing in these moral quandaries. The vampires have a moral quandary of how do we get enough blood to survive.
Yeah, we didn't choose to be like this. This is
effectively
this is a disease. And if we don't drink blood, we dust.
Yeah, but then also Scuffy Winters and her family. She's the first one to sort of all these other vampire hunters have just been killing them indiscriminately for hundreds of years. She's the first one to go, wait a sec, what's actually going on here? Mm-hmm. These just seem to be regular people. It's just that this disease means that sunlight sets them on fire and not having human blood turns them to dust.
But it turns out that if they do drink blood, then they can go out in the sun for a little bit. But the sun dries them out and turns them to dust.
Yeah, basically what it is it makes their skin really absorbent of light, which is why they're so matte and dry. Because so direct sunlight is just too much. It just heats them up to the point that
evaporates the blood and bang, they dust.
Yeah.
And for some reason garlic has too much vitamin C or whatever, and that also happens to dry them out.
Yeah, there's something in garlic that bonds with the blood.
It makes it toxic to them.
Yeah.
And it really, really sucks because Matt, the vampire Matt, used to love Italian food with a lot of garlic. But now
it fucking sucks. They'd have to stick with very bland food because people put garlic in everything.
Yeah. Hell, garlic naan. I mean, you'd be fucked.
And I mean, just like a lot of people who are, say, lactose intolerant might occasionally just deal with the discomfort. You'll often find vampires who go out and, really just go buck wild on garlic bread and deal with the fact that the next day they're going to need additional blood to not dust.
Okay, can they eat normal food? Because
I think they do. I think they eat normal food. I think they still have to eat normal food.
Yeah.
I think the blood is almost a supplement they need to survive. It's like it's a medicine.
Blood is like water. Blood is like water for them. They can't drink water anymore. They must drink blood. But it's not the only thing they eat. Blood is there to just make sure they don't dust.
They still need to eat. Many of them, limit their diets. They go vegan. Because who's going to eat meat without garlic? And also just having to drink human blood all the time. They don't want to eat meat. Otherwise, puts them off.
So
what's the game? What's the game?
That's where I was about to go. I'm picturing definitely some sort of 3D thing.
Yeah. I think it's almost like a 3D event, like point click ish. Because
it does have some combat, and if you choose to go down that route, you can basically go and kill all the other vampires, and that is one way of playing through the game. But you can also sit and talk to them and find out about them.
Well, I was more thinking you've got these groups, right? There are the vampires who just hunt humans.
Yeah. But there are also types of humans that go out and just hunt vampires. Indiscriminately.
I think there are times, and I think there are choices you can make, but I think there are times when you do have to get into combat because you are being attacked by these vampires who are trying to hunt and kill. Like, they also want to kill vampire killers. Like, they know your family and its history.
I'm kind of getting almost a Mass Effect vibe about this. Like, it's a pretty cool RPG that, you can go and talk to people, or you can just start fights, pretty much.
Well, that's cool, actually, because in Mass Effect, like, there were some attributes that went towards your speech stuff, but most of them were around combat.
Yeah.
But I like that, where it can be around your tech tree of your, like, garlic and steak-based gadgetry, and that sort of thing. And then you can also have some...
Steak being literally like the beef steak, not steaks through the heart, because... obviously
depends which way you want to invest your stat points.
It's all about garlic. Like, if you put garlic on a steak and feed it to them.
It's about force feeding vampires garlic steak.
just a nice steak with some garlic sauce on it. Essentially, it's just a cooking game.
Into every generation, there is one chef born who can cook the right combination of foods to kill vampires.
Scuffy Winters.
Scuffy Winters. All right, please don't click.
I fucking love it. Model.
Bummed.
I'm getting very, very much Zoolander vibes of Derelict.
See, I was thinking model could be around like a model plane or model ship, like a physical model that has been built.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's one of those models like in a museum. You know how museums will sometimes have these little, like, under glass, like a model of the town that you're in, or a model, where and they try to do a very detailed scale model of the area.
Yep.
I'm kind of picturing that as a mechanic for, like, maybe that's the map, or maybe it's been destroyed and you're, like, trying to rebuild it or get the pieces of it or something. Like, basically that your progression through this is indicated in this sort of scale model of the area.
Okay, yep.
And so bummed is someone broke my model. You're a bit bummed about it.
Okay. As long as there is a part where a crazy professor comes in and goes, I can help you fix this by using my shrinking technology, and you shrink down into the model.
Into the model?
Yeah. So you can actually fix it, like, from within, sort of thing.
Okay. I kind of like the idea of building or fixing things at that scale.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, grab some sticky tape that's, half the size of your body.
Yeah.
And stick this to that.
So this is almost perfect for VR, where you've got like huge bits of sticky tape that you gotta like.
Yes, that's cool. All right. So you're trying to rebuild.
If you need to screw down a screw, you get this like, this tiny little screwdriver when you're big, but then when you shrink right down, it's you got to use two
two-handed screwdriver to like screw things in. Okay, this is fun because I like the idea of like putting in the little LEDs that trigger when you press the buttons on the outside of the model and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And building that up over time.
And they huge like light globe LED things that you've.
Oh yeah.
You got to make sure the cathode and the.
You got to like solder
around the wrong
solder the wires to them and stuff. You've just got this huge fucking, I don't know, maybe this professor makes you a soldering gun.
Yeah, but that shrinks down with you. So that's normal sized.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm picturing that you go near something and it's almost like a caulking gun. It's got the solder sort of inbuilt that you can just sort of...
yeah, like lay down some nice connecting tissue between these different things.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the progression that, like, how do you... Because it could just be making your way through this model and fixing things or building it in different ways, but how do you find out what you need to build? How do you get... Do you need to get the materials somehow? Are you going in and out of this model?
Yeah, I think as you're sort of going in and fixing it, you get sort of like your main thing is the clock tower is your main objective. Like that's going to take quite a while to fix. But if you start on the outskirts of the town, you fix up the blacksmiths and you fix up some. Are
you having to get materials then? Is this almost a bit of a not like a full-on Stardew Valley or whatever, but where like you're having to build up resources over time, and then it's like, okay, to fix the historical blacksmith on the outskirts of the town, I need this much tape and this much cardboard or whatever, or like and it needs the light, it needs I need a red LED for the flickering forge in there. And I need some solder and I need some wires.
Yeah, and I think you can put an order in, and then kind of like a first-person shooter where you get a loot drop. That's basically you're going after your stuff, and while you're there, you're actually seeing, what would, if you were big, it wouldn't really be too much of an issue, but ants and like spiders and. Okay,
so there's a little bit of like combat or avoidance happening while you're running around.
Yeah, I think from just like huge insects that are not harmful to you when you're big, but when you're small, like a cockroach is fucking scary.
I just had a thought about the resources thing. Yep. I like the idea that as you rebuild a section of the model, you're basically like the information center for this historical town or something.
Mm-hmm.
As you rebuild that section, tourists will come in and now they know how to go to that place, and the town is making more money, and now you can afford more stuff. Like, so there's that's where you can get a bit of a loop, an economic loop of, oh, okay, I'm going to get like plus $10 per day if I rebuild the blacksmith versus... $20 a day if I rebuild the candy store, but it needs more, it needs more resources because it's got all the detailed, like, little candy fucking things on the shelves in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, in the meantime, you are tiny in here and having to avoid things. I like the idea of being able to look out and see the giant tourists in there.
Yeah, and I love the idea
of
being able to look up and you see the giant professor sort of looking down and going, "Is everything all right in there?" And his booming voice down and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's
you see him sort of reach down and drop some stuff, but he can't quite get close to you, and so basically you see the huge hand come down.
And when you get the loot drops, it's like, you got a delivery. And just this giant hand comes down and drops it next to you. Dust pops up, bursts up as it lands. Yeah, that's cool. That'd be fun. I could see that being sort of just a chill builder sort of game. But you've got that economic loop where you can make some choices of what to build next, and it just becomes a bit of one of those kind of enjoying seeing the progression of it as this model comes to fruition.
Yeah,
that's fun.
And I just there's something about scale in VR that just impresses me. Like, if you could see like these massive beings up above that at the start of the game you saw and you were face to face and it was all good, and you shrink right down, how, you know, awe-inspiring that would actually be. You know, you really want to fix up this thing so you can see, you know, what's going to happen next with all these tourists coming in and pointing down and look at that little man down there.
Wow, the detail's amazing on this model. How are they doing that? Animatronics?
Going through this massive fight in the middle of the square, and, you know, there's
with a fucking cockroach
or a spider or something. Just imagining, you know, other sort of insects that are hidden throughout this thing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You could just throw in so many Easter eggs and stuff too.
How fucking scary would a mosquito be at that fucking size? Or a dragonfly or something like that. I like the idea that you get, like, you can get certain power-ups or something, or like a certain single-use items where you just, like, call for the professor and just a giant fly swat comes down. But it damages buildings.
Yeah, well, if it's in the wrong spot, yeah, it could damage buildings. Yeah, for sure.
Fuck yeah. I love that game so much.
There's definitely a Beetlejuice Easter egg where there's like a strip club.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the cemetery, there's like it's got that typical sort of spiky grass that you see in models quite often, and all the headstones are in foam and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's it. You could do such fun stuff with the textures and with the art style. Yeah,
fuck. I really want to play this.
I know. There is a game coming out soon called Grounded, which is you've shrunk down in a garden. It's not VR, but
see,
I played the demo of it. I think it's coming on Game Pass.
There's just something about VR and scale that.
I know.
Every time that we come up with an idea for a scale game, like I'm just remembering something from very, very early on where you play like little gnomes in a school trying to like provide all the stationery, and you like you're getting launched by a bloody.
That wasn't VR though, was it?
I don't think it was, but I think I talked about it at one stage, and you may have poo-pooed it, but
poo-poo. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Ooh. Pawnbroker.
Swap.
What?
Swap.
Well, that is appropriate.
SWAP. Swap.
Yeah. I thought you said quap.
No.
Which could be kind of fun as well. Surgeon Simulator style pawnbroker game. You're trying to grab the things and not break them. And no, okay, swap. Well, I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense for pawnbroker in a way.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing this as there was a Legend of Zelda game for the 3DS. It was A Link Between Worlds, and you pretty much had all the things that you could unlock throughout the game, all the items available almost from the very start, but you had to swap them. You could only take like one at a time.
Oh, interesting.
So I think we could use that idea of there are certain items within the pawnbroker, but you got to swap them based on monetary value or something like that.
So that's fine. Yes. When you said that with the Link Between Worlds, which I haven't played, but I assume there are multiple worlds in it, at least 2.
So the worlds in it are more. There's a 2D world and a 3D world. So you're sort of swapping between.
It's fine. I don't actually care. No, but what I was saying is that
there is a dark world. Sorry,
I kind of like the idea that you are like every time you trade someone, you go into the other world, like back and forth. And the way you find this out is you literally just as a regular person go to this pawnbroker. And there's like the classic kind of creepy person behind the scenes.
Is it the same creepy person in both worlds?
I think they get a hat. In one world, they have a hat.
I kind of like the idea that the next time you go in there, they've got a hat. But when you it just turns out that he likes hats. It's the same guy. He lives in both worlds. But as you go to swap something,
he just feels like in this world, it looks better with a hat.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea that you don't necessarily have the same relationships in both worlds.
Well, and I mean, I think it depends on how, because I was almost thinking it's like a very different world. Like, you go in, you sell, you tearfully sell your grandfather's pocket watch because you need the money for, like...
When you said grandfather's, I didn't think pocket watch. I thought urn. And I thought, is his ashes in there?
His ashes are in the pocket watch, funnily enough. But, like, you walk out the door and you're, like, in a fucking demonic hellscape.
Yeah.
With this pawn shop sitting on the middle of a hill, surrounded by lava, and you walk back and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm the devil, and you sold me something, so you're in hell. Like, to get back, you need to sell me something else. I don't know, like... to get back, you need to find these parts, and they exist throughout hell and your planet or your realm or whatever. It doesn't have to be hell, but like some sort of alternate dimension it's very different. It is like demonic sort of creatures, and maybe you go a bit whimsical with it and they're not all evil, but they're all they look like demons. And then it's as you find these bits, you play different segments through, flipping back and forth as you like trade out items with the pawnbroker or redeem them or whatever. I just thought that was a fun kind of narrative thing, and it's just a bit of a like action adventure-y kind of.
I'm just wondering,
almost a platformer,
whether it's more the fact that as a kid you actually stole from this pawnbroker.
Okay,
and that's the reason. Karma. Like when you've come back in and you've sold like this thing back to him, he's recognized who you are, and it's like just something that you see in almost as a prelude to the whole story. You see as a kid, you walk in, you steal something, and you sort of sneak out, and then it stays on the same scene, and you see an older gentleman walk in, and that's you. Sort of like you've seen
the guy. The guy looks the same though.
Guy looks exactly the same. Yeah, hasn't aged
we could either
today.
do that, or after the first trade, you like do a bit of a flashback and tell that story, and he explains to you like this is why this is happening in some way.
Yeah. You fucked me over, now I'm gonna fuck you.
Well, it's just like you owe me. Don't be lewd. Dick trees.
I purposely left that out too.
The other world is the erotic environment. That's the other dimension.
Dick
Find
trees
me
everywhere.
The 7 dildos of the apocalypse.
Why are there 7? Because there's 7 layers of hell, you fuckwit. Each dildo is a key to the next level.
Find me the dildos of Dante.
The dildos that Dante left behind after he was done with them.
Find the correct pocket pussy that this dildo fits into, and you shall unlock the next layer of hell.
He got adventurous on this one.
This one is a dragon penis.
He went to baddragons.com. Not sponsored.
Trevor, stop reading out your bookmarks. I'm completely lost on this. Back to the actual plot and video game. Yes, I think you...
Is it a God of War hack and slash?
No, what I was going to say actually is I think when you're in the other dimension, it's like a platformer sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Like a 3D platformer kind of, Jak and Daxter style thing.
Yep.
But when you're in the real world, it's more of like a point-and-click adventure. Like there you have to find things through solving puzzles. Mm-hmm. And in the other world, you have to solve things through kind of traditional platforming, and you've got like collectibles and stuff. Yeah. Just to like mix it up a bit, and I feel like then it makes sense for whichever world you're in. Like there's the more mundane kind of problem solving in your original dimension, and But yeah, what you need in the other dimension is a different set of skills.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I just got in my head, like, I have a particular set of skills. Fucking taken.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much you can take. All right.
We'll do one more. 3 to 1 click.
Let's do one more in case we completely cut out all that dildo talk.
We're not going to cut out the dildo talk.
Hey, it's my
fucking not lot.
Shiver.
Cut shit out on you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Shiva.
Yeah.
You have just reached the peak of Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm. So you're feeling like you've achieved something, but you're also fucking cold.
Yes. That's the connections made. And it's a game all about getting back down.
And along the way, you see the people that were part of your team that have died.
Yeah, they're collectibles.
Frederick's pocket watch from his mangled corpse.
Now, you've got his pocket watch because you took it off his mangled corpse on the way up. So you need to know what time it was. On the way down, you collect his mangled corpse. I'm picturing this as a bit of a humorous, action-ish sort of game where you're just kind of sliding or rolling down this hill. Maybe it's like
but
a game.
But you've got to be very careful. You can't stop it with your hand because your fingers are literally going to break off because you've got frostbite.
Well, I'm almost picturing, is this a game where as you go down this hill, it's the classic cartoonish thing of the snowball getting bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get too big because that gets you're going to hit stuff. Like, it's going to be too easy to hit stuff. And so you have to find ways to, like, I don't know, break it safely and start over, or, like, get the size of it down or something.
I'm just wondering, is this like the ultimate level of steep? But the thing is, you can't replay it because getting up to the top of Everest is almost impossible. It's sort of like a one-and-done game.
It's a one-and-done game. The first time you install it, you're at the very top.
Every run that you do, it deletes the install, and you got to reinstall it.
Yeah, and then yes, every time you start a run, it's from where you left off, and when you finally get to the bottom, and look, it could take you 100 runs. Mm-hmm. It's a big mountain, as we all know. You can never play the game again. And it's like bragging rights for how few runs it took you to get to the bottom.
Yep.
And also, once one person has made it to the bottom in a single run, nobody can ever play the game again.
First day, shit.
Yeah, you spend all this time building it. That's a really fun idea for a game. Like, I could see doing this in a low poly procedural style, and actually doing that.
I mean, there is actually a game jam that I remember hearing about that they make a game in like a certain amount of time. They play it at this one event, and at the end of the event, they just delete it.
Yeah. Well, there was also there was an online thing. Oh, yeah. There was a project where I think they packaged up. You get like an installer, and you get one game every day for a year.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only play it on that day, each game. And so it's like literally every day you get one different game that some creator has made, and it's the only time you can ever play it. So yeah, there are definitely things that have gone like that in the past, but that could be cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Right. And in the stats, it actually tells you how many fingers you broke off. Yeah.
How many extremities
of your own?
Lost to
how
frostbite.
many extremities you collected along the way? And yeah.
I like it. All right, give me a final click picture, Trevor. Paste it in that thing. Had it. So we have two men in a public bathroom It's just viewing one man from behind as you see his khaki short covered butt, obviously peeing into a urinal, while the other man stares directly at his crotch with a really shocked look on his face. So,
Now,
I mean, I think
it seems to be a shock of how big or how little.
Well, or what? That's not a penis. What's that in your? Or like, what are you peeing? That's
blood.
That's piping hot magma.
It's a demon.
Are you a fucking earth giant with magma piss?
3 to 1 enter.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a woman in a forest throwing spaghetti.
Yeah, and
like a chop or something. What is that?
I don't know. It looks like it could be a chop, but I also think that she's captured a bird and she's bringing it back.
Oh, so she's like Edward Spaghetti Fingers.
Yeah, so
it does kind of look like she's casting spaghetti magic out of her fingers.
Yeah, kind of like Spider Woman or something like that, but it's Spaghetti Woman. And she just can fling, coated spaghetti, and we're talking coated. It's coated in some sort of bolognese sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. It's al dente. It's sauced up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of like this, that it's not something that she's had for long. Like, it's not a power that she's had her whole life. It's sort of...
we're doing the origin story here. We're doing the origin story. She's bitten,
maybe she's
bitten by a radioactive meatball.
Well, I was thinking that she was accidentally dropped into a pot of like spaghetti at a restaurant, or she got covered in like
the big vat they have behind the scenes that they serve all the bolognese up from.
Yeah. And then, she sort of went into a coma when she came out. Like, she had all these spaghetti powers.
Mm-hmm. Her body soaked up all that tomato and garlic and meat-based goodness.
And for some reason, it only comes out of her fingers.
Yes.
Because you don't want her sweating
said
like
explicitly,
Napoli
but
sauce
she does
like
poop meatballs.
It's implied.
Never actually used in the game. It's implied a few times.
In one cutscene, she comes out of the toilet and is like, "Do not go in there. I clogged up the toilet with meatballs."
Yeah, they think it's a euphemism.
But she literally did.
All right, this is definitely a VR game.
Oh, yeah.
Because being able to fling spaghetti out of your fingers in VR, dream game.
Yeah. And you get hungry. Into your you gotta be very careful because, obviously, when it comes out of your fingers, it's still connected to you. So she can actually control it somewhat in the air and then, sort of almost like a scorpion, get over here.
Oh, she can, pull it back if she hasn't,
That's how she captured that bird.
Right. I feel like this would work really well with finger tracking, like on the Valve Index, because then it's literally, you're controlling it as it comes out of each fingertip. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of do a thin, a small spread where it's a real hard dart of spaghetti, or you can create a larger hand shape and send pasta in all directions.
Yeah. And it's all about, maybe this is the origin story of the Pasta Witch.
Oh, God, it's the Pasta Witch. Yes, definitely. Definitely. So at some point you get to make a panini.
Yes. Panini, though, but, or she starts off with spaghetti and then she brings it up to a panini later on.
Well, you learn different pasta types as you go. Endgame is like lasagna, and you just manage to fire these sheets. Yeah. Midpoint is gnocchi, gnocchi projectiles.
But
does that count?
As we know from the Ronnie John's half hour, gnocchi is potatoes, not pastas.
Yeah, true, but you still bolognese it. If you can.
Yeah, but I think she wonders why she can't control gnocchi as much, and it's because it's a potato-based pasta.
Wait, can she also control pasta that's out there in the world?
I think so.
Like, telekinetically?
Ooh, I'm starting to think that, you know how some things in, I think it was, what was the sequel to Avatar?
Korra? Legend of Korra?
Yep. Like bloodbending and all that sort of stuff. Basically, if someone's had a huge meal of pasta, you can control that pasta and puppeteer the person.
Bolognese running through their veins.
Yep.
I love it. I think I don't know if we've got the physics engines to really do this game justice yet in existence, but
no, and really we need more than just the index to do finger tracking as well. Like when Oculus bring out their Rift 2 or whatever.
Well, again,
and they actually support it.
If we're waiting for the physics engines, then all VR is going to have finger tracking by that point anyway. So we're okay.
Yeah. And eye tracking and everything.
This is like 5-10 years down the track.
Yeah.
Before our magnum opus here can be made.
Origins of the Pasta Witch.
Pasta Witch, Origins. Love it. Legend of the Penne Panini. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back 2 episodes and listen to the Adel Rafai episode. Thank you, Adel, for that marvellous pun. The Penne Panini. All right, not 3, 2, 1, click. We're done with the episode.
3, 2, 1, done.
3, 2, 1, done. We're going to finish it up there. Thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find the rest of our episodes, find us online, talk to us, leave a review, tell us that this sucked. I don't know, whatever. Tell us that it was great.
Tell your friends that it sucked but they should still listen to it.
Yeah. Go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. You can do all of those things there. We are also part of the 8-Bit Collective, and this is a group of podcasters who do podcasts, funnily enough, around pop culture, video games, tabletop gaming, sports, lots of stuff. So go to 8bit.net, check out the 8-Bit Collective, support those shows. They're fantastic.
Do you like Australia? Do you like gaming podcasts? Well, chuck those two together and you've got the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just look for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook or at AGP Network on Twitter. And finally, we'd like to thank Kuradust for the use of the song Mount Defiance of the album Containment Failure.
That's right, so thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Travis Scott.
Dick trees.
Dick trees.